Perfect.
Hello, everybody. Week 3 recap. Let's do it. I actually felt like this week I would like to get it kicked off by telling you just very briefly my team. Only because, and no, I don't think everyone cares about my team, but I actually think because I talk about these players, and I probably do have a bias with the guys on my team, it's good to share it out. Also, there were 3 different trades I made in the past week. And I feel like hearing about other people's teams not so interesting, but hearing about trades is always interesting. I look on Reddit always to see what people are like using trade value to assess kind of like how to look at these guys, because you get preseason power rankings, but it's good to know what other people value them as before you make your own kind of trade. So really quickly, my team at quarterback, Kyler Murray. A guy I'm still high on. Whoever has Kyler, we'll talk about it. Definitely still high on him, especially when DeAndre comes back. Still think it's going to be a top 6 quarterback, no doubt. Next up, running back, Dalvin Cook. And of course I have Madison. If you get Dalvin Cook and you don't have Madison, there's some fantasy issues that you're facing. That's not on me. Still very high on both of them as well. Honestly, if Dalvin gets out, it wouldn't be the worst thing because I think Madison's honestly just as good as a running back. I think they're maybe equivalent. Second running back, I don't know what to do with Josh Jacobs, but Josh Jacobs, one of like the 4 running backs that got over 80% of his carries over the last couple weeks, something like that, of his team's carries, I think, something like that. Wide receiver 1, the most talented wide receiver in the NFL in the past decade, Devontae Adams, getting double teamed right now, still high on him. Wide receiver 2, Deebo Samuel. Man, if anyone wanted to roast me and bully me, this clip would be sufficient. Because I'm acting like a dumbass. But Deebo Samuel, just traded for him, I'll tell you in a sec. Tight end, Mr. Reliable, Dallas Goedert. Flex, Mr. 1,000 yards, Brandon Cooks. And my record is... Oh, defense, Buffalo Bills. They're banged up. Unfortunate, but love it. And kicker, Mr. I enjoy halftime shows, Evan McPherson. The thing with that is Eli Mitchell. The thing with my roster is first of all, I think it's a great team. I'm 3-0. But it's not fantastic yet. I still have some work to do. A lot of work's been done. This is a very different team than I drafted. Eli Mitchell was my guy this season. I really swear to you, he would have been a top 10 running back this season if he was healthy. Dude is so talented. The injury was not because he's injury prone. It was because he got rolled up on, and it doesn't matter it doesn't matter. I'm a little heated, sorry. And he was averaging like 6 yards per carry. He's in the perfect situation, supported by the coaching staff. No good backup behind him. Don't tell me Jeff Wilson's a very good running back. So yeah, that's my team. The 3 trades I made, so before we move on to your recaps, started with, so Eli got hurt, needed a running back, went with McLaurin straight up for Josh Jacobs. I was just really deep at wide receiver. I had McLaurin, Amari, DK, no RB2. Literally, my RB2 was Mark Ingram. I think I played Mark Ingram, or was about to play Mark Ingram. I know, disgusting. So I'm like, I know the future of my team is going to be trading at least 2 of these wide receivers. So started with McLaurin, the guy who was getting valued the highest, because DK and Amari were still not respected, despite a good week for Amari after week 2. And I was telling everyone, Amari's sick. How are you guys not seeing Amari sick? He's going to be sick. He's open all the time. So talented. Only guy on the offense. So no one was buying the DK Amari hype. So I'm like, all right, McLaurin. So got Josh Jacobs, a guy I'm feel good about. He gets enough work. It's not like I'm obsessed with him, but gets enough work. And then after DK and Amari had their inevitable good weeks, Amari back-to-back now, I traded both of them for Deebo. Because I still, as much as I like them, they have caps because their offenses. All 3 of these guys did. So I figured Deebo's a higher ceiling guy. That I'm not here to make the playoffs. I'm not here to make the playoffs, especially 3-0. I think I'm going to end up making the playoffs, hopefully. It's too early to say that. But I'm not here to make playoffs. I'm here to win it all. Need high ceiling guys. Deebo is that guy for me. So that is a lot. And then I just traded Raheem Mostert, who I got as a free agent last week, to a guy who needed running back to get Brandon Cooks, who isn't performing well, but I think will regress closer to a higher mean. And I needed him in my flex for now until I get Gus Edwards, until I get Eli Mitchell, or until I make other moves. I'm number 1 on waivers too. So that is my team, my strategy. Don't know if any of it's helpful or interesting. I will not be doing that every week. Figured it'd be good to kind of deep dive into it. Let's talk about you guys, starting with Team Glory Hole getting a win that I needed him to get, because I was looking like an idiot over here, Mr. Glory Hole, an idiot. And honestly, you didn't deserve it. Only 106 points. Would have lost to most teams in the league. In fact, you would have lost to every single team in the league except for Caesar Tron. So I'll take what I could get. I mean, obviously here, Dalvin's injury was unlucky, so I'll give you that. He was performing pretty well, so I think that's what held you back. Kamara also another disappointing game, this time leading off with a fumble. Just brutal. Tyreek, you're hearing these names. These are good players. Tyreek an underperformance week. DK Metcalf finally, though, giving you a good week, and that's what gives me hope. I think DK's a great guy. Good guy. A great option. I think Tyreek's going to obviously be a great option. I love the Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara stack. I have no issues with Kirk Cousins. You have Madison. You have Dobbins ready to go. You have Rashad Penny. You have Melvin Gordon. I think the crime for Glory Hole is mismanagement in that you have so much depth. So many running backs in a league where anyone could use a running back. People need more running back depth. You have this. I think it's a clear 2-for-1 situation. Even if people understand you're not going to get 2 RB3s for an RB1, but if you just make that upgrade, that'll make me feel better about this team. I mean, to give yourself a better wide receiver 2, especially with DJ Moore struggling, maybe and Chase Edmonds I don't believe should be a flex. I mean, he got 2 touchdowns, but dude's doing nothing, and he does not look good running the ball. If you could trade one of those guys, I'm ruining your case here by shitting on them so hard, but you could trade a DJ Moore and a Chase Edmonds. You package him with even maybe a Dobbins. I don't think it's too early, but even a Rashad Penny who's getting a ton of work, Melvin Gordon getting a ton of work. You get yourself an RB2. I mean, that's what I would be doing, at least Glory Hole. I think you still have the potential to make a run. You're 1-2. You get a lucky win. Sometimes luck's all you need. So let's see what you do with it. Caesar, a very disappointing week at 95 points. I mean, T. Higgins obviously being out for some of it hurt. Judy was coming off an injury. That was a ballsy start. Mixon also got banged up. A lot of bad luck, but and Gabe Davis also coming off an injury. But also when you look at this team, I mean, I tested. It's not very exciting of a team. Like, you have a good running back group, as we talked about. Mixon and Chubb is a solid group, even though Mixon's struggling. I'm still fine with it. But that wide receiver group, just all wide receiver 2s, they're all decent. They're all good options to throw in as a starter. But to be all your 3 starters, when you compare it against all other groups, really, except maybe the team you're playing against also had not the strongest wide receiver group. But as we talk about other teams, when you talk about your wide receiver group being all guys who aren't the first options on their team, that's where I have a little bit of issue with it. I think Caesar Tron is still a solid team. You're 2-1. You weren't undefeated. I think Caesar's still managing this team pretty well. But when I talk about excitement, I'm talking about those explosive options. And that when in a league where wide receiver is the most important, I don't see the explosion that could potentially come. Again, I think Gabe Davis, Judy, T. Higgins, all very talented receivers, but you just I want to see a top guy on this team. Right now, you don't have it. I'm curious to see if you can make a move because you do have some exciting bench guys as well. So let's keep an eye out on that and talk about the next matchup. For now, a much more competitive game. Paco Libre getting a win, 138-134 over Team El Captain. This is 2 1-1 teams, both really looking for a win. Paco Libre continuing, goes Carson Wentz. I don't get it. I was against someone who played Carson Wentz. I do not understand it for the life of me, what people are saying in Carson Wentz as a weekly starter. But I'm going to move on from that to talk about the rest of your team, which is very exciting for me because I think McCaffrey, Debo, Waddle, Amon-Ra, and Kelsey are all unbelievably exciting options. Those are the explosive guys that I'm talking about that I want to see Caesar be able to pick up on. You have a handful of them, and you complement them with solid options. Like Gibson, I wouldn't love to be an RB1, but as your second or third option, that's great. Christian Kirk, I don't love if he was your wide receiver too, but as a flex, I think that's great also. So I think that for Paco Libre, this is a team well managed, and I think this team could make some noise if you fix the quarterback situation. Please do so ASAP. I do not want to see Carson Wentz back in that lineup next week. Please. Team El Captain, a disappointing loss, putting up a solid 134 points. Obviously, your running back group is something to be happy about. Saquon being that RB1 that you absolutely need. And Singletary getting you points that I wouldn't have expected, but you stuck with him, and it worked. Is Darrell Williams the worst start in fantasy for this league so far? Absolutely. You're talking a third running back on a team. They announced Connor would be playing. You go Connor on your bench, 10 points. Does that make the difference? Absolutely yes. So this loss is on Team El Captain. This is the classic. Fantasy has a ton of luck, but when skill comes into play, it's exactly in these situations. Paco Libre completely outmanaging Team El Captain. I'm guessing Team El Captain doesn't care that much about fantasy or was sleeping at the wheel. I don't know what happened, but cost himself the win. I hope it's bothering him, and I hope he's going to rebound. please, please, please do. Next up is Untouchables against Team Livin' La Vida Yoda. Team Livin' La Vida Yoda, everyone already knows they were my least favorite team coming into the season, and they fall to 1-2, making me look pretty good, so thank you for that. I will say Josh Allen carrying this team almost on his own, 36.2 points, but the DeAndre Swift injury cost you a ton. Underperformances from guys that I think will be performing better in Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks. Also, obviously, extremely, extremely disappointing. Kittle, you can't expect that much more in his first week back, but he looked healthy. The issue with Kittle is, as Yahoo Analysis actually pointed out, because I didn't see the game, is with Trent Williams, but it makes sense. Trent Williams' injury, they actually started having Kittle block more often. I still think Kittle's going to be a top fantasy guy, so this isn't to distract you, but I think that injury is bad news because they are going to need more help blocking. Kittle is a prolific blocker from the tight end position, so I hope it doesn't take it away from you because there are pieces on this team. I love Cordero. I love Devontae. I kind of like Brandon Cook still. I love DeAndre Swift when he comes back, and Josh Allen's fantastic. But I still have to rank you near the bottom because there are a lot of weak guys starting here, and some luck with the DeAndre Swift injury also is going to leave you near the bottom. Untouchables, a much better week, 141. That's with not very good performances from Jonathan Taylor and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, two guys that I'm expecting a lot more from. In the wide receiver position, you just got to bow down to Hollywood Brown. I really did love him coming into this season, and he's showing you why. Before DeAndre gets back, he's going to continue to be a very good option. The question is, will he be a long-term option? We'll have to wait and see. Courtland Sutton, another target monster, so you got yourself two target monsters. Thielen, a bounce-back game, but I don't love the weekly start of Adam Thielen. I wonder what direction you go. It looks like you're probably going to give him until Mike Evans comes back, which hopefully should be this week. But you do have the depth to make a lot of interesting decisions. I mean, even Jeff Wilson on the bench. You have a lot of Pollard on the bench. You have a lot of interesting guys. I'm curious to see what you do with that, but you don't need to make any drastic changes because you are 2-1 and your team is looking pretty good. Pain Train, this is the toughest loss because you had a really solid 147.9 game and points that you put up, but falling to El Granas, 2-1. Jalen Hurts, just honestly top 3 most valuable fantasy guy up so far this season, in my opinion. I mean, absolutely fantastic. James Robinson, another guy I didn't give enough credit going into this season. 27.1 points. Najee, a little bit disappointing. I think he's going to perform. Stephon Diggs, a little bit disappointing. I think he's going to perform. Michael Pittman, a little bit disappointing. I think he's going to perform. This team is another just strong team that needs to see more from a couple guys and could really make a run. And those guys are Mike Williams. I believe A.J. Dillon's one of those guys because I think he could find his way into your starting lineup. And I think at the tight end position with T.J. Hawkinson, he's just not involved. He got a touchdown, but he's not getting involved. And I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned if I had Hawkinson starting him every week. I don't see him as a guy that's going to be starting on a team that's going to win it all. But let's see how that goes. Pain Train 0-3. Just so frustrating. Given you putting up enough points that you deserve a win. The good news is they're finally using Derrick Henry correctly. I was hard on him after last week, but it was really not his talent. It was the usage and the game script, and they weren't getting him involved in the passing game. He finally does. He gets 6 targets. He gets 5 of those for catches. He gets 58 yards with it. And you get points for first downs. Got 2 receiving first downs. So a lot more to be excited about there. Even on an Aaron Jones off week, when you get Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones as your running backs, you just have to be amped. A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas, I'm not concerned about. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about Juju. He got an okay week, 5 catches, 89 yards, but I'm getting concerned that he's not as involved as we were hoping after week 1. This is a team that has a little bit weaker depth, at least from my perspective, than other teams. But with that being said, if Monty's hurt, Herbert becomes a great option. Keenan Allen is going to become healthier. I just do not love Brandon Ayuk so much. I just don't like him as a fantasy player so much. He had a decent week, but I don't love him. And Josh Jacobs is my guy. His usage is fantastic. So I guess your running back depth's actually kind of good. I think my concern is more wide receiver depth and some of the guys you have to start because I do not like Curtis Samuel as much as other people do. And I really don't like Juju as much as other people do. And I really don't like Ayuk as much as other people do. So just relying on Keenan Allen is, I guess, what I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. Because if he could come back and he could be himself, this team is looking a lot better than 0-3. I don't think they should be 0-3. And then we're going to wrap up with the chairman against, we went with Jared. 118 points. Probably didn't deserve the win, but could have gotten it. Whereas the chairman goes to 2-1. The chairman, a team coming to this season, I thought was middle of the road. I thought was a bit top heavy, but let's look at, was that correct? I mean, not really, because he's putting up 162 points when Eckler only puts up 10 points. 10 points. So where are those points coming from? This week, Devontae Smith, a guy that I gave no credit to, but he gets 12 targets, 8 catches, 169, a touchdown. Listen, with Devontae Smith, I don't like him as a weekly starter so much, but he's a talented guy. There's no doubt about that. It's just how many guys are involved in that offense and the way that offense flows. Is Devontae going to be able to sustain it? I hope so for you, because you have the best tight end right now. Mark Andrews getting 26.9. If you obviously have running backs that I'm still high on in Austin Eckler. You had one other guy where's the other guy that I like? Your other running back. Travis Etienne, I think, is only going to keep gaining value. So I'm going to guess Etienne is eventually going to be your RB2. I think Mooney cannot be started anymore. He cannot be started anymore. Get him out of that lineup, please, ASAP, no matter what you do. Godwin could fill in that in, sure. But I'm even looking at Dobbs. I still don't know how to pronounce his name. Dobbs or Dukes. The Green Bay new number 1. I'd look at him over 100% Darnell Mooney. So I hope you make that switch. But at 2-1, looking pretty good. We went with Jared, his first loss, despite Lamar Jackson being the most valuable fantasy player, I guess, right now, 51.92 points. Monty's injury, obviously bad luck, but didn't make the difference. Jarrell Henderson, we fell for it. I mean, I guess I didn't fall for it, but I thought that he was more valuable than he is. He's not going to be the guy we saw after week 1. It's going to be him and Akers both being involved. It's not that exciting. I do like a lot of pieces on this team. Jamar Chase, Kupp on the same team is unfair, but you're going to need Monty back healthy because you do not have Khalil Herbert, which I think is a big mistake. You'll just, if Lamar keeps performing, I mean, this is going to be a very good team. There's a reason you're 2-1. It's a solid team, but the running back position is one to watch. Can they keep up with your wide receiver group? And can Darren Waller get you the weeks you drafted him at? I mean, right now he's not. So yeah, I guess Fournette as your RB1 is obviously good, but you're going to need Monty to be that solid RB2 and come back healthy if you're going to want to really compete with those top teams. But it's so early, and I want to see trades. You know what? I actually didn't look. Shoot, I forgot to look at trades. My bad. Let's, bear with me as I look to see if there were any trades. Don't tell me no trades yet. No trades? No trades, yikes. Okay, make some trades. My league, I made 3 trades this week. Maybe I'm addicted. Maybe I need help. All right, good luck next week.